Welcome back to today's college football pick video play for December 19th, 2017. If you're interested in getting all of our college bowl plays throughout bowl season, you can access those at stumpthespread.com, link down in the video description, and be sure to click that subscribe button on our YouTube channel to continue to get all of our pick video plays. So coming into this one, the Akron Zips going to be taking on the Florida Atlantic Owls. We're going to be focusing on the over-under, currently that total number sitting at about 64 to 65 points. This is actually up a bit from where this opened up as, gaining about 2 points or so on that total number. So Akron on the year, 7-6 overall. Didn't have a ton of success during the non-conference, but that's because they went against teams like Iowa State and Penn State. Also losing on the road against Troy in what was a pretty decent loss considering the kind of year that Troy had. But the Zips really found their stride in conference play. They went on to win the MAC East Division, which was a surprise in itself considering that Ohio was the clear-cut favorite to go on to win that division. Akron, they beat the Ohio Bobcats later on in November, which pretty much locked them up to go on and win the division. And the Zips down the stretch, they played some better ball. They won 3 of their last 4 regular season games. The big issue that the Zips had was dealing with Toledo in MAC play, but the Toledo Rockets were the clear-cut best team in the conference this year. 2 convincing losses against Toledo, but outside of that, some pretty consistently respectable results from Akron throughout their play in conference. And the Zips on the year, not overly impressive in terms of either side of the ball. They're 92nd in all of college football in scoring, 60th in total team defense, averaging about 25 points per game, giving up about 26 points per game. And then QB Thomas Woodson, he has developed this year and has continued to get better, but he's not a guy that's going to light you up by any means. He's thrown for about 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns. He is a dual threat guy and can run the ball when needed. But for the Zips to have success here today and not get blown out of the water, they're going to have to manage the clock and try to run things down a bit more, reduce the number of possessions and total plays that their opposition get. And I think that they can succeed in some areas in doing that, like we've seen them do in some of their tougher matchups during MAC conference play. So the Zips, better year than anyone was expecting. They're probably motivated coming into this bowl game considering that it's a pretty respectable matchup for them going against Florida Atlantic, who's been one of the top group of 5 schools in D1 college football this year. FAU, we had elevated expectations for them coming into the campaign, and although they didn't get off to a great start during the month of September, they completely dominated action throughout Conference USA play, going 8-0 in conference. And FAU, back during the non-conference, they opened things up, getting blown out by Navy. Convincing loss on the road against Wisconsin wasn't a big surprise, but then you match it up to a similar opponent here. Both teams in this bowl game have gone against Buffalo this year. FAU actually lost to Buffalo, who's coming out of the MAC East as well, on the road by a final of 31-34, and that was right before FAU went on their 8-game winning streak in conference. In Akron, they also have a game against Buffalo. They went on to win that one by a final of 21-20. So just comparing apples to apples with that one common opponent, a similar result from these two teams, but of course a small sample size, and clearly FAU is the better overall team in terms of what they've done throughout the entire course of the regular season. But we might not be looking as much of a disparity as people would expect coming into this matchup. So if you look at how many points FAU has averaged this year, very impressive, 9th in all the nation in scoring average, putting up about 39 to 40 points. You compare that over to Akron, who's putting up about 25 to 26 points. And if you add those two numbers together, you get right at about where this total is, at about 65 points. But with the fact that Akron, to have success today, is going to need to slow things down a bit more and reduce the number of plays and total possessions, we feel like that this one is likely to be slightly lower than what these two teams have typically averaged throughout the regular season. Also, we are getting a couple extra points given the fact that this total has elevated a little bit. So with that being the case, we feel like the best value play here is going to be on the under for that total. If you agree, click the thumbs up. If you disagree, give it a thumbs down. For all of our bowl plays, you can access those over at stumpthespread.com, including a pick for today's action against the spread. And be sure to click that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping on in, guys, and we hope to see you in future videos. Bye.